Hey y'all, welcome to the country where it's just another day in paradise. Let's see what's going on. Hey y'all, I'm Susan with Susan's Country Living, and today I'm going to be starting some fertile eggs in an incubator to hatch. So I'm going to show you how I set the incubator up and what we do to get things started. Usually gestation is 21 days, so usually the day before I want to start incubating, I go ahead and set up my incubator so I can get it to the right temperature to start incubating my eggs. So the kind of incubator I have is a Incubator, and I have had this for years, for a very long time. It's model 1602N. They still make Incubators. They also make replacement parts. I've not had to replace anything yet, but I'm thinking my thermostat may be needing replacing because the last couple of times my hatches have not been as many as I would like as far as percentage wise. So to get started, my incubator's old, so it's kind of grungy looking. I clean it out every time. There are two compartments in here for water. There's a thermal and a circulated. So when you are going to incubate, you need humidity. Now at the beginning, I guess it would be more important to have less humidity than more humidity. But at the end, when the eggs are getting ready to hatch, the chicks are ready to start pipping out, you want to increase your humidity, because if they get dry inside that shell, the shell sticks to them, they're not able to move around and get out, and it can cause them to die trying to hatch. So I'm going to add, I've got some warm water, and I'm going to add it to the circulated section here. And I'm going to have it where I can add throughout the incubation. I will also add water as it needs it. So this is warm water. And I'm just going to fill to where it's really, really full, so I don't have to worry about it for a few days. There's always a screen that goes in the bottom. Now, when you're going to incubate eggs, you have to turn them. Well, I have an automatic turner, which looks like this. And I'm going to set it in there. Here's my groove where my cord needs to go. I'm going to set it in there. And I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. You need to be somewhere near a plug, two plugs, because you're going to, if you have a turner, you'll need one for your turner and then for your heat. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my turner in, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 42 places for eggs. Now you can get turners for pretty much any kind of poultry, and just get the replacement racks. But so I'm going to be putting my lid on, and I have a groove you have to match up so that the cord from the turner goes through here. And I'm just going to get that set up, and I'm going to plug in my incubator, and when the red light comes on, I know that it's heating. There are a couple of holes on top, and I will leave those open during the incubation period, and then when it's time for them to start to hatch, usually a day or so before, I will cover these up. If it does get too humid and condensation collects, I can even pop these open here. Now, thermometers. I've tried different thermometers. The thermometer that came with this that have the red liquid inside. And I thought, I'm going to try a digital thermometer. This is just one that I ordered on the internet. It has a little probe. And I put that inside, kind of between a couple of eggs on the turner. And I'm able to always monitor the temperature. You always want to keep your printout of your manual that goes with your incubator, and the ideal temperature is 100 degrees. I happen to have a Celsius thermometer, so I have to look that up, what I need to set it to. And then once I get it to 100 degrees, I'm going to kind of check it throughout the evening, and tomorrow I'll start incubating my eggs. And I'll kind of show you what's going on along the way. And the final video will be when the little darlings start to hatch out. Well, I have my incubator up to temperature. It's 37.3 degrees Celsius. If you have a Fahrenheit thermometer, it would be 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 37.7 degrees Celsius. So mine's a Celsius, and this little thermometer also shows the humidity. So this is at 62% humidity. So I like that. So it kind of lets me know when the humidity starts dropping. That means I need to add some water to the chamber in my incubator. When the eggs are starting to develop, or when the chicks are starting to develop, they're going to start producing heat. So you want to watch your incubator temperature, check it several times a day. And if you see the temperature all of a sudden start to rise, that means that those chicks are producing some heat, and you'll want to adjust your thermostat. So there's lots of things you got to keep up with. You just can't just set it and let it go for the 21 days. It's checking it regularly. I have a lot of Americana eggs, the chickens that lay the bluish green eggs. Some of them are what are called Easter eggers, which are hybrids. I also have some black copper marlin. I know it's kind of dark right now because it's morning and it's kind of dark outside. This is a black copper marlin, French black copper marlin. They lay these wonderful dark chocolate colored eggs, and sometimes I get some speckled ones. And then I have these olive eggs that are from hens that I crossed with black copper marlins, black copper marlin roosters, and the hens that lay the blue-green eggs. So trying to get more olive eggers because I've only got 4. So I'm going to open my incubator up, and when you put them in, you want to put the more pointed side down, and I kept them at room temperature, and I used unwashed eggs. They needed to be clean when they were gathered, and you don't want to wash them because that washes the bloom protection, and you don't want to use dirty eggs. Well, that one's a big one. You don't want to use dirty eggs. And while you're collecting them and you let them set on the countertop at room temperature, you'll want to just kind of put something that will tilt them so that you can move them, because you don't want the embryo to eventually get stuck to the side. So that's why I have a turner in here. And I have just a few of my different brown colored eggs. That's kind of pink. I just wanted to stick a few of those in here to make up my 42 eggs. Now, sometimes I get really good hatches. I might only have, maybe 6 or 7 that aren't fertile or don't develop. I'm just going to let this come back up to temperature. I had let it go overnight. Oh, I wanted to show you. Let me open that here. So there's all of our little eggs there. Hopefully they're all fertile. I do have several roosters. They're going to develop at day 10. I will candle them. And then in 3 weeks, hopefully it'll be the Friday, Saturday, right before Easter, that they'll be hatching out. And we'll see our cute little chicks then. So stay tuned. It's been 10 days since we started our incubation of these eggs, and this is when you would candle them. So I have this little, it's called a candler. It's like a little flashlight that plugs in, and it's really strong. And I got it at TSC. It was about $15 when I bought it a few years ago. So here we have my incubator, and we have eggs incubating here. And I'm going to be taking out just a few at a time. And then I'm going to be turning the lights out so you can actually see, and I'm going to show you what an egg looks like when it's not fertile and what a developing egg looks like. Now, some of these we may not be able to see through. Like these really dark eggs, it's really difficult to see through. So I'm just going to start with some light eggs. I just take them out a few at a time, and I have a carton over here with a towel, and that way I can kind of cover them up and keep them warm. I'm also going to do some of these blue eggs that hopefully I'll get some olive eggers from. So I'm just going to take out a few to start with. And those that are not fertile, I will take them out and then probably put them in the compost pile so that they can decompose. So I'm going to plug this in and show you what to do first. This does get warm, so you don't want to leave the egg on too long. And I'm going to take the large end of the egg and I'll place it on there. And then when it's dark, I should be able to see what's going on inside. So I'm going to turn the lights out here, and let's see. This may be a little difficult to see. Let me start with a light egg here. Okay, now I don't know if you can see it, but you can see that there's something in there, and I see a little bit of a vein right here where my finger is, and I can just turn that around, but you see that there is something in there developing. So I'm going to hold on to that one there, and I'm going to put this one, and you can see that there's something in there developing. So I'm going to see if I can find one where there's not anything developing, so you can see what that looks like. Okay, these are those blue ones, and they're really, really hard to see through also because they have really thick shells. There's something, it looks like there's something in that one. Well, kind of hard to tell. You can see how that's all the same. Really don't see anything in there. So that one isn't, probably not developing. I'll hold on to it and candle it in a couple more days. Let's see here. Kind of look around there. Not too sure about this one. Doesn't look, oh, see how that's a really great right there. That's not fertile. You can see the yolk is at the top. There's nothing developing. So this one will be taken out. I do not see any vein at all. All that's in there is the yolk. And then the yolk floats back up to the top there. So there's an example of one that's not fertile. So there's one that is. So I'm going to just continue to candle and see how many I have that look like there's something developing in there. And then we have another 11 days. We should have some hatching going on, so stay tuned. Well, it's April 1st, and last night I took the eggs out of the turner, and now they are just sitting in here, and I candled them one more time and found two more eggs that were not developing. And then we got a little early bird here. Sometimes I'll hear him cheep, cheep, cheep. Yeah, they're really not supposed to hatch until... Oh, I hear him. I don't think that it'll pick it up. Okay, we'll put him back in there. So what I did is I filled up the thermal water trough. So now I've got my humidity was up to around 80%. I closed up one of the little holes that are here to bring that humidity up, and I also added that water, still keeping it at 37.7 degrees Celsius or 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So I hear them in there cheeping, and I heard that when the others hear the cheeping, they're like, time to come out. So, you know, I may have a chick that's hatched when I get home from work, and I've got my brooder ready. I got just a big box. I have it in my bathroom, my extra bathroom. I have it's really a straw mat that you can put in the chicken laying nest boxes. Put that in there, and I'll get the chicks in there once they're dry, and put the light on. You want to be careful. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the brooder after I have some that have hatched. So, gotta go to work. Bye, y'all. So I got home from work today, and I always hear this cheep, 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 cheep. So I'm like, oh, I must have one out. So sure enough, let's see if I can get it. There he is right there. So he's dry enough to take out. You want to leave him in your incubator until they're dry. Here he is right there. He's so cute. Little bitty wings right there. He came out of one of these blue-green eggs, and you don't ever want to help them out because they'll come out when they're ready, and sometimes they do die in the shell. That just means they weren't strong enough and or something wasn't quite right. And I have some more in there that are pipping, so probably in the morning when I get up I'll have some more. So we're going to bring them in here. I've just got a brooder set up, which is just a box with some material down in the bottom here. Let's see if you can see that. I can get this up. I just have some material. It's really nesting box pad down in there. And I have a heat lamp here, and you want to keep the brood box warm, but you don't want it to where they get too hot. So they need an area to be able to move out of the heat. And I'll go get some water and put down in there in the feeder. Let's see if we can see it and get him down in there. See him down in there. Right there. He's getting ready to, he's breaking out. He's trying really hard. You don't want to help them. Just let them do their job. Keep the humidity up. And he'll be out soon. Okay, I think I heard something in there. Scratching around in there. Yes, he just came out. Yeah, he's all wet. So I'm going to close this back down. You see another one's pipping right there beside him. So we have another blue egg that hatched out. Okay, so I think we ended up with about 18 chicks. They incubated, started with 42 eggs, and 13 of them were not fertile, 13 or 14, I can't remember exactly. And then there's still a few that probably are not going to hatch. It could be they were not fertile and I just didn't catch it, or that the chicks died during incubation. So here we have a little box of fluffy fun. So I've got them in here. I have them in the bathroom, and I've got my light, not too close. And in the water, I put those little flat marbles, little squished glass marbles, and that makes it a lot neater. And then their food, just in the little container. I'll add the bottle later when they're eating more. And then what I used, which I really like this time, is the nest pads for the chicken laying boxes. I put 2 of them in there and kind of spread that material out, and I like it because if you put pine shavings, they tend to kick it up, and it all ends up in the water, which is a mess. And so I like this. It's much cleaner. I may have to change it more often because they are starting to mess it up, pooping in there since they're eating. So chicks can normally go 48 hours once they've hatched without food because of the yolk that they took into their body, and they can live off that. That's why you can male chicks. So they spread out and get where they like. If it gets colder at night, they'll clump together, but I try to keep the light. You can see how far it is off the box. Probably about 3 feet off the floor, about. So you don't want them too hot. If you see that your chicks are breathing difficult and they're kind of lethargic, it's probably because they're too hot. So I hope y'all enjoyed this little journey on this incubation. Bye, y'all.